Before starting the video, just look these stocks and its returns over recent years. Isn't it phenomenal? Ever thought why this happened? Have you noticed how Indian defense stocks like HAL, BEL, Bharat Dynamics, and even private players like Paras Defense have given massive multi-bagger returns in the last 3 years? But here's the big question. Why are defense stocks suddenly skyrocketing? Is this just hype or are we looking at a long-term opportunity? Let's see one by one. First is government push for self-reliance. India was once the second largest defense importer in the world, but things are changing fast. The Indian government has put 400 plus defense items in the import ban list, meaning they can no longer be imported and must be produced in India itself. This directly benefits Indian defense companies like HAL, BEL, Bharat Forge, and others. Result: more orders, more revenue, and long term growth visibility. Second is rising defense budget. Every year, India is allocating more money for defense. FY25 defense budget was 6.2 lakh crore, the highest ever. 13% of India's total budget goes to defense. And most importantly, the capital expenditure used for new jets, ships, submarines, radars is at record levels. This capital spending flows directly to defense companies, leading to higher earnings. Third is geopolitical tensions. Let's be real, India can't afford to slow down on defense. Tensions with China in Ladakh, continuous issues with Pakistan, growing Chinese presence in the Indian Ocean, and globally, wars like Russia, Ukraine, and Israel Hamas have shown why strong military preparedness is a must. That's why India is investing heavily in upgrading its military, and Indian defense companies are the direct beneficiaries. 4th is export growth. India becoming an export hub. 10 years ago, India's defense exports were negligible. In FY14, it was just 686 crore, and in FY24, it crossed 21,000 crore. Countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America are buying Indian helicopters, radars, and missiles. This export growth is opening up an entirely new revenue stream for Indian companies. 5. Make in India plus private sector entry. Earlier, defense manufacturing was dominated by PSUs like HAL, BEL, BDL, but now private players are entering strongly. L&T, Bharat Forge, Solar Industries, Data Patterns, Paras Defense. More competition means more innovation and faster execution. This is making India a stronger defense ecosystem overall. 6. Strong order book visibility. One of the biggest reason investors love defense stocks is the order book. This gives 5-7 years of earnings visibility, which is rare in most sectors. 7. Technology upgradation. AI, drones, space defense. Modern warfare is no longer about just tanks and guns. AI powered systems, drones, cybersecurity, and space defense are becoming critical. Indian companies are tapping into these opportunities. IdeaForge, Paras Defense, Zen Technologies in drones, Data Patterns, L&T in space and missile systems. This futuristic angle excites investors even more. 8. Investor participation. Earlier, defense was seen as a boring PSU sector, but not anymore. Stocks like HAL, BEL, Solar Industries delivered 300% to 600% returns between 2020 and 2023. Once investors saw this, both FIIs and retail investors rushed in. This added fuel to the rally. 9. FDI and policy norms. The Indian government increased FDI limit in defense to 74% under the automatic route. Global giants like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Airbus are partnering with Indian firms like Tata and HAL. This brings technology transfer, better manufacturing, and higher production capacity. Last one is strategic importance of defense in India's growth story. Defense is not just a business sector, it's about national security and global positioning. As India aspires to be a global superpower, defense will always remain a core sector. This makes the growth of defense companies not just cyclical but structural and long term. India spends billions on defense every single year. But have you ever wondered where does India stand compared to the world's biggest military powers? Is India's defense strength truly growing? Or are we still miles behind the US, China, and Russia? Let's break it down with facts, figures, and some surprising insights. India's place in global military spending. First, the numbers. In 2023, India was the fourth largest military spender in the world, spending about 83.6 billion US dollar. By 2024, that number rose to 86.1 billion dollars, placing India at fifth globally. Now, put this in perspective. The US spends close to 1 trillion dollars. That's more than 10 times India's budget. China spends around 300 billion dollars, almost 3-4 times India. So yes, India is a top player, but still far behind the global giants. Global military spending is exploding. Here's the shocking part. Global defense spending touched $2.7 trillion dollars in 2024. That's the biggest jump in decades. India's defense budget story. India allocates about 2.3% of its GDP to defense. That may sound small, but here's the catch. It's 13% of India's entire government budget. And within this, capital expenditure money spent on new fighter jets, submarines, radars, and missiles is at an all-time high. This is what's fueling Indian defense companies. HAL, BEL, BDL, they're all sitting on massive order books, running into tens of thousands of crores. Defense exports, the surprising growth story. Now, here's where India is really making headlines. In 2014, India's defense exports were just 686 crore. In FY24, they crossed 21,000 crore. Today, India exports to over 90 countries. Helicopters, radars, missile systems made in India, sold abroad. This is India quietly shifting from being the world's top importer to an emerging exporter. Okay, now let's talk about most important part of this video. We are going to break down the top 15 Indian defense companies, their fundamentals, order books, and what's driving their growth. Whether you are an investor or just curious about India's defense story, this is going to be insightful. 1. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited market cap is 3.21 lakh crore. It has order book of around 2.5 lakh crore, literally more than size of its market cap. Why HAL is surging? Strong demand for fighter jets and helicopters, expansion into civil aviation, collaborations with global aerospace giants, massive R&D investment, enhancing indigenous capabilities, HAL IS, direct beneficiary of the government's Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. 2. Bharat Electronics Limited market cap is 2.95 lakh crore and order book is 74,000 crore. Growth triggers: leader in defense electronics, radars, communication system, expansion into space and cyber defense, huge export potential with international partnerships, consistent government orders, boosting revenues. 3. Bharat Dynamics Limited. It has market cap of 58,000 crore and having current order book of 22,000 crore. Growth triggers: key manufacturer of missiles and ammunition. Exports growing rapidly, quadrupling over 5 years. Government focus on modernizing defense infrastructure. Capacity expansion projects underway. 4. Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited. Its market cap is 1.2 lakh crore and order book of 39,000 crore. Why MDL is important? Expertise in building naval ships and submarines. Large Indian Navy orders driving long-term growth. Expansion into export markets. Benefiting from government push for indigenous shipbuilding. Fifth is Larsen and Toubro Limited. It has market cap of 5 lakh crore and overall order book is 6 lakh crore. Growth triggers: diversified across defense, infrastructure, and engineering. Strong international presence with 50% orders from abroad. Focus on operational efficiency and margin improvement. Strategic investments in defense manufacturing. 6. Solar Industries India Limited. Market cap is 1.28 lakh crore and order book is 15,000 crore. Why solar industry stands out? Leading producer of explosives and ammunition, expanding into defense and aerospace sectors. New manufacturing facilities driving growth. Strong international partnerships and export growth. 7. Apollo Microsystems Limited. Market cap is 11,000 crore and order book is 700 crore. Key growth drivers: specializes in defense electronics and communication systems. Increased demand has surged its stock price. Focused on innovation and R&D. Partnerships with key defense agencies. 8. Paras Defense and Space Technologies Limited. Market cap is 5,700 crore and order book is 928 crore. Growth triggers: specializes in defense and space tech. Heavy investment in R&D and product development. Expanding into global market. Government initiatives supporting space and defense projects. 9. High Energy Batteries India Limited. Market cap is 540 crore and order book is 101 crore. Why it matters? Manufactures batteries for defense applications. Rising demand for energy storage solutions. Expanding into renewable energy sectors. Strong relationships with defense agencies. 10. Sika Interplant Systems Limited. Market cap is 2,700 crore. Order book is 264 crore. Growth triggers: provides defense and aerospace solutions. Automation and system integration expertise. Expansion into international markets. Supported by government Make in India initiatives.
Okay, we've talked about why defense stocks are booming. Now let's pause for a reality check. I want to be blunt. India's defense story is real, but it's not perfect. There are real structural gaps, big ones, that every investor and policymaker must know. In this section, I'll explain the 4 biggest gaps and why they matter. Let's go. Gap 1: Import dependence. India still imports critical defense technology. Whether it's advanced fighter jets, jet engines, radars, or high end avionics, we rely on foreign suppliers. And that's risky. One geopolitical twist, a sanction, or even a supply chain issue, and suddenly our forces face delays in upgrades and spare parts. Until we master these technologies at home, true self reliance remains incomplete. Gap 2: Budget pressure. The budget problem. A huge portion of India's defense budget is eaten up by salaries, pensions, and operational costs. Of course, taking care of our soldiers is non negotiable, but it leaves a smaller pie for new weapons and modernization. This slows down how quickly advanced systems can actually enter service. Gap 3: R&D lag. Compared to defense giants like the US, China, or even Israel, India spends far less on research and development, and whatever projects we do start often face delays and cost overruns. That means innovation is slower, and it takes much longer to see indigenous world-class systems rolling out. Gap 4: Bureaucracy and delays. And finally, bureaucracy. Defense procurement in India is still slow and complex. Multiple approvals, long testing procedures, and paperwork often drag deals for years. Even when the money is there, projects get stuck in the system, and for defense companies, this creates uncertainty and financial stress. So, yes, India has made huge progress, but these 4 gaps remain real: import dependence, budget pressure, weak R&D, and slow bureaucracy. Overcoming these challenges is the key to making India not just a big defense buyer but a true global defense power. But one thing is clear: the future of India's defense sector is brighter than ever before. With government push, rising budgets, and growing private sector participation, we're moving steadily towards true Atmanirbharta. For us as investors, this sector is not just about stocks or profits, it's about being part of a nation's transformation, about supporting the industries that literally safeguard our borders. So tell me in the comments, which defense company do you believe will shape India's future? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more deep, research backed content. Because, remember, defense is not just an industry, it's a mission for our nation's security, strength, and pride. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.